The Most Reverend Bishop Nicholas DiMarcio, Chair of the Board of Trustees William Collins, the Provincial of the Eastern Province of the Congregation of the Mission and Vice Chair of the Board, Father Stephen Grosio, our distinguished commencement speaker, Margaret Keene, members of the Board of Trustees, members of the Board of Governors, members of the religious community, academic and administrative officers, faculty, staff, alumni, distinguished guests, and most especially the graduating class of 2019 and your families and friends. Welcome to St. John's University's 2019 Commencement. What a beautiful day, and I'm very pleased to see all of you on this very memorable day to celebrate the graduation of the class of 2019. I'd like to share a few interesting facts about you, the class of 2019. More than 58% of you are female, and slightly less than 42% are male. Go, girl! Most of you belong to the Generation Z, while some of you belong to Generation Y. Our youngest graduate today is only 19 years of age. There are 20 students in the class of 2019 who belong to Generation X, defined as 38 to 53 years old. There is one undergraduate student who is a member of the baby boomer generation. But today, we also celebrate the graduation of a very proud member of the silent generation, defined as 73 to 90 years old. Our oldest graduate is earning her BS in Education degree today. If you can stand so we can recognize you, Mary Palasoa. As these numbers show, getting a college degree has no age restriction, and you are never too young or never too old to earn your degree. We have 121 students who are graduating today who have proudly served in the military along with 12 ROTC graduates. Thank you for your service to our country. Among our graduates are 60 student athletes. There are also 128 international students from 35 countries, and more than 600 of you have studied abroad. When most of you joined St. John's 4 years ago in 2015 as first-year students, you comprise the largest freshman class in our history pursuing a 4-year degree. 4 years later, there are 2,382 Queen's undergraduate students completing their degrees this academic year, which is the largest graduating St. John's graduating class in the last 3 decades. Another very interesting statistic about your class is that 70% of you are graduating in 4 years or less. In addition, there are 50 students who are completing their degrees in less than 4 years, and that is quite an accomplishment. And more academic honors for this class. It is noteworthy that more than 40% of your class will graduate with honors. 296 summa cum laudes, 296 magna cum laudes, and another 300 cum laudes. More remarkable is that 22 undergraduates are graduating with a perfect 4.0 GPA. Now I would like all those who are graduating with honors, summa cum laude, magna cum laude, and cum laude, to please stand so we can recognize all of you. During this commencement, I know that the last thing you'd like to hear is another 1-hour class lecture. So I promise to be brief with my comments to give more time to our commencement speaker, who has a very important message to share with all of you. For my part, I simply want to say 2 words: thank you. Thank you for joining St. John's in class of 2015. Also, remember to say thank you to your parents, grandparents, guardians, and other family members. They have supported you and made sacrifices for you. Remember to say thank you to your professors, mentors, and advisors. They have played a very important part in your lives during the past 4 to 6 years. As I always say, and I truly believe, that the mark of a great university starts with outstanding faculty, staff, and administrators. Remember to say thank you to the Vincentian community, which has made the provision of higher education for all, especially those who are in need, central to the university's mission for the past 149 years. Without them, there will be no St. John's University. Remember to thank God for all the blessings He has bestowed upon you. As I reflect on the past 5 years, I am truly blessed to be given the opportunity to serve as president of St. John's University. I'm very proud to state that at St. John's, we turn hopes and aspirations into achievements and accomplishments. Today, because of your hard work and perseverance, we celebrate your achievements that will hopefully serve as the foundation for your success in your future career, both personally and professionally. As your president, I would like to be the first to welcome you officially and join what is now more than 187,000 strong alumni of St. John's University. Thank you.
Her choice to follow a different career path than most of her family led her to great heights in the business world and eventually to her current role as Chief Executive Officer of Synchrony, one of the world's premier customer financial services companies, and where she's one of only 24 female CEOs in the Fortune 500. Mrs. Keene attended St. John's University, earning her Bachelor of Arts degree in Government and Politics in 1981. She later pursued her Master of Business Administration degree at St. John's, earning that degree in 1987. After 16 years in various leadership roles at Citibank, Mrs. Keene joined GE Capital in 1996, holding various leadership positions. During the course of her 18 years there, she expanded her responsibilities, becoming president and CEO of the North American retail finance business. In 2014, she led the initial public offering for Synchrony, and 1 year later, it completely separated from GE, becoming a fully independent company. As Mrs. Keene has risen to greater heights throughout her career, she has never forgotten her Queen's roots. She strives to help her family, her employees, and her community. Our honoree has been diligent in developing and leading Synchrony's philanthropic efforts. The Families That Work program at Synchrony, which she helped to create, has as its main goal to improve economic viability amongst working families. Additionally, Synchrony donates to early childhood development and after-school programs, community service initiatives, and programs which combat family homelessness. When Hurricane Maria devastated the island of Puerto Rico, Mrs. Keene oversaw the disbursement of hundreds of thousands of dollars in grants to employees who had lost everything, and made sure that paychecks were still issued, even to employees who were unable to work in the aftermath of the storm. Our honoree mandated that company offices remain open, provided free meals, power, water, and air conditioning to those in need. As a student at St. John's, Mrs. Keane always felt she was part of something bigger and recalls that she enjoyed the campus culture. She obtained her job at Citibank through University Career Services, and today, a strong sense of giving back extends to her alma mater, and she lends her time, talent, and support to the university as a member and secretary of the St. John's Board of Trustees. Today, we take pride in honoring an alumna who is the very model of a caring and empathetic senior executive as we confer upon Margaret M. Keane, honoris causa, the degree of Doctor of Commercial Science. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our commencement speaker, Margaret M. Keane.
Thank you. My fellow trustees, President Gempesaw, Provost Muller, distinguished guests, friends and family of the graduates, and most importantly, you, the graduating class of 2019. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my nephew, Sean, who is among the graduates today. Way to go, Sean. It's really an honor to be asked to address this great university. And for me, it's so exciting to be here because I, like you, graduated St. John's. You know, graduation is called commencement for a reason. It's the start of a new phase, not an end. It certainly will be the end of sleeping late or playing video games in the afternoon. Your next chapter is about to start, to commence. And today, we celebrate your transformation. You may not know it yet, but your lives have already been transformed by St. John's. And your transformation coincides with other changes that are a cause for celebration. Certainly, Queens is not the same place as when I grew up here. Today, Queens is no longer a place people want to leave. It's an exciting place that people want to come to. A multicultural environment, fantastic restaurants, Amazon. Okay, 2 out of 3 aren't bad. And the St. John's student body has changed dramatically since I was a student. Look around at your fellow graduates. When I was a student here, it looked a lot different than it does today. Homogeneous would be a polite way to describe how it was back then. In short, most of the school looked like a male version of me. Today, this school has been transformed. You come from many different backgrounds, ethnicities, and cultures. This is one of the most diverse colleges in the United States. And at this campus, almost 60% of the undergraduates are female. Now that is something to celebrate. When I hear those stats, I think fantastic. Fantastic because this is America. Right here, you are America. It's this melding of cultures and backgrounds that makes our country special, even exceptional. We are founded on a set of common principles, and one of those principles is the opportunity to achieve personal success, regardless of race, background, or financial status. That's the American dream. St. John's gave me the opportunity to achieve the American dream. And St. John's is giving you that opportunity today. I was one of 6 siblings growing up in Queens in a working-class Irish Catholic family. My family always had a strong work ethic, and my family's always been involved in law enforcement for 4 generations. My grandfather, my dad, my aunt, my uncle, my cousins, my brothers, my nephews, all NYPD. It was assumed I was going to go into the family business, or at minimum, marry a police officer. It's just what we did. And while I'm very proud of my family, that just wasn't me. When I told my parents that I wanted to go to college, they said, "Great, and good luck with that." They knew I could succeed. They knew I would work hard. But the idea of someone in my family going to college just isn't what we did back then. And we couldn't afford it. But I didn't give up. I wanted to go to St. John's. So I worked 3 jobs while going to school. There was the clothing store on Saturdays, the internship for a congressman in the afternoons, and the really, really fun one, doing debt collection calls at Citibank in the evening. I made 80 collection calls each shift. And get this, using a rotary phone. Now, I know you're probably thinking out there, what's a rotary phone? So parents, maybe later you can have that rotary phone conversation with your kids. However, I did have one big luxury, and that was owning a car. Well, sort of a car. It wasn't fancy. It was a beat-up Chevy Nova. I mean, really, really beat up. I paid $500 for it. It had a door I had to tie shut with a rope. I'd attach the rope to the steering wheel so the door wouldn't swing open when I made turns. It was a little crazy. So I got here, I got to college. But my freshman year didn't get off to the best start. 2 weeks in my first semester, my father passed away. He was only 50 years old, and he was a big part of my family and a really big personality. You can imagine how devastating that was for all of us. Now, I'm not trying to tell you this so that I can say I walked 10 miles to school, there and back. My point is, it wasn't easy. I had to overcome obstacles, and so will you. That's life. I worked hard, and just like many of you, I had to work harder than most. But I made it. I graduated. And after my incredible experience here as an undergrad, I had this really, really big dream, and that was to go to St. John's Law School. There was only one problem. I didn't get in. Where's Dean Simon? We can talk about that later, I think. For me, that was strike one. But I wasn't out yet. By that point, I was really good at dialing rotary phones. So I decided to stay in financial services, and I got my training at a program at Citibank. And you know what attracted me to the business world? Absolutely nothing. Seriously, I had no interest in it at all. But it was something to do besides law school, and most importantly, it came with a paycheck. Today, I'm pretty happy that I stayed in business. I wound up getting my MBA by coming back here at night for 5 years. It wasn't easy. Again, it was hard work, but doing so transformed my life. At the same time, I got married and began raising a family. And I want to stop here for a minute to thank someone who was by my side, someone who supported me financially during those early years, and he still tells me I haven't paid him back. He supports me every single day. He is my biggest cheerleader and my very best friend, my husband, Jerry. I couldn't have done this without you, Jerry. So I kept working my way up, and I eventually left Citibank. Today, I'm the CEO of Synchrony in Stamford, Connecticut. Our aim is twofold. As a public company, we aim to make a profit, of course, but more importantly, we do so with a purpose, in a way that benefits our customers, our employees, and our communities. And we do this by living our values. Because one very important thing I learned doing debt collection was how many people have challenges. I heard from the people who lost their jobs, or had a devastating illness, or simply weren't earning enough to make ends meet. That experience deeply affected me. It made me realize that every one of us has our own challenges, our own story of struggle, and hopefully our own story of transformation. Whether we're rich or poor, famous or unknown, we're all trying to make it through life. When you remember that, you approach the world with a bit more kindness. You have to see people as individuals, not just as a customer who can't pay their bill on time, not just as an employee who didn't get their job done this week. Everyone is an individual, and you don't always know what they're facing. I've tried to bring more kindness and empathy into who I am and what I do. I learned that right here at St. John's. And I'm lucky, because as a CEO, I get to bring that into my company. We've made the company kind. We've made the company diverse. We've made the company inclusive. Because being part of a diverse group, opening yourself up to working in an inclusive environment is another way to break down barriers and biases. Which brings me to one last thing. Do you ever question your value? I know I did when I first started in business. Many of my peers had gone to Ivy League schools. Many of them were men. But I had something they didn't have, and I know you have it too. You have grit. You already know how to work hard. You know what it takes to overcome obstacles, to tie the door shut so you don't fall out along the way. 38 years ago, I sat at this graduation, and I never dreamed I would be a CEO of a public company. Everyone here is capable of achieving what I've achieved. It's up to you to transform your life. And congratulations, you've already begun by graduating from this great university. The university that welcomes all. The university that celebrates diversity and kindness. The university that understands hard work. Because today, the history of America is being written in places like Queens by people like you. So as you go forward and find your way, as you follow your path, dream big, work hard, and do it with kindness, empathy, and understanding. If you do that, you will be a success. Thank you, and God bless.
At this most significant moment in the lives of our graduates, we customarily ask a student to speak on behalf of his or her classmates. It is now my privilege to present this year's student speaker, Beverly Denqua, from the College of Professional Studies, class of 2019.
Good morning, members of the Board of Trustees, President Gempesaw, faculty members, administration, and staff. Hello, parents, siblings, loved ones, and of course, hello, 2019 graduates. How are we feeling this fine morning? Rain or shine, we are here and ready to bask in the glory of our accomplishments. I would also love to give a warm welcome to our international family. St. John's University represents 120 countries, some of my fellow classmates and I have had the pleasure of visiting while studying abroad. And we are so excited to have each and every one of you here with us today. Wow, I have gotten to stand up in front of a bunch of crowds at the Apollo Theater as an event host and an event producer. But this crowd right here, this crowd takes the cake, okay? This is the day that we have cried for, waited for, prayed for, dreamed of, and hoped for. Today, we celebrate one of the many opportunities that we have taken and maximized, the St. John's Way. For me and my classmates that are first in their families to graduate from college, and all of us that have overcome obstacles to reach the dream of obtaining a college degree, today is particularly triumphant. The long nights spent studying in the library and sticking through the inevitable 7:30 a.m. core classes have finally paid off. We've used subway apps to plan our trips to campus. We've attended impromptu organizational e-board meetings, right? We've spent so many countless hours between the D'Angelo Center and Marillac in search of a hangout spot in between classes. But through it all, we've owned the plethora of opportunities that have been presented to us. And look at what's happened. Our St. John's experience has been transformative, given us a multitude of perspectives, and essentially has brought us to where we are today. Being features editor of the student newspaper, my fellow reporters and I have highlighted some of the most talented students that St. John's University has to offer. We've spoken to student entrepreneurs, fashion designers, nonprofit founders, bloggers and influencers, serial interns, and so many more. I am so blessed to have been able to highlight some of your stories, and the university is so proud of each and every one of your efforts. You owned your college experience and will inspire the classes to come. If there's anything I know for sure about the class of 2019, it's that we are passionate and undaunted. We have the work ethic to match our ambitions. We famously managed a balancing act of our academics, social life, remembering to call, or let's be honest, text our loved ones, fulfilling our passions, while dealing with adversity and setbacks. As Johnnies, we take pride in the Vincentian mission of our university. This year alone, Johnnies completed 110,000 academic service learning hours and countless additional hours volunteering as part of clubs and organizations. That means students spent more time volunteering than they did playing games on their phones. Isn't that amazing? After our service hours are completed, we take the time to reflect on our efforts and impact. We have made an impact not only in our backyards, but all over the nation and even the world. In a generation where some allow likes and retweets to dictate their validity, we figured out who we wanted to be and what impact we wanted to leave. We took charge of our lives. Think about yourself as a first-year student versus who you are now. When I think about it, I chuckle. I absolutely love who I've become, and I truly, truly hope that you do too. At the end of it all, we'll end up exactly where we're supposed to be. So take a deep breath, take it all in, and remember, we did all of that in 4 years. So just imagine what we can do in a lifetime. So go forth, my fellow graduates. Remain humble, act with purpose, and live your best life. Thank you.